the world navigation production is as big a donor to hothouse gas emissions as aircraft. And the hard gas oil how powers its gigantic wear is extremely filthy, packed in carbon, dark carbon sequestration, and sulfur. So is it making quite to pure up its instrument? Navigation is cladding a big issue. In slight more than rather than a year of now it will include to correspond to new world regulation on toxicity sulfur dioxide emissions. But down there's slight unanimity on how this should be made, in lot companies pulling their feet as a outcome. Sulfur dioxide belched out by sea vessels while the gas is burnt is detrimental to human beings and can reason ecologically injuring acidity rainfall. On top of how, the segment contributes on 3% to world hothouse gas emissions, house more than rather than 900 millionth tons of carbon sequestration dioxide spewed in the ambience. Could microchip fat assist alleviate these failings? In September, a biofuels program named Good Shipping announced how it had given a little canister vessel in 22,000 liters of hydrotreated plant oil, HVO, ex-kitchen oil how has been rotated in a diesel engine. While burnt, it produces lot less than carbon sequestration dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and particulates. Switching sea vessels in biofuel has been made up, but the problem is receive the production to selector to janitor alternatives in a big path. The planet's largest sea vessels aren't on to selector above to fleeing their engines on oil of factory question or pet waste management before down there's a tested safety of delivery at an affordable price. So how is the last date to be welcomed? There has been a large speaking spot in the giant navigation production how we trust on for almost all of the consumer goods we their own. This regulatory is set in rock, as it were, a representative for the IMO says, as is the last date. But the IMO is versatile in regulation of how navigation firms try to cut their sulfur dioxide emissions. We don't include a privileged stock option. In addition, biofuels, navigation companies could selector to cheap sulfur petroleum, condensed nature gas, liquefied natural gas, or adhere in the sulfurous gas but set fumes gas clean system named as scrubbers to remove the sulfur dioxide. The anxiety is, down there isn't lot period leftward to solve which attitude to go for and lot firms appear to be outgoing it to the recent minimum down there has been a chief in the sand attitude for rather a time on the, says Nest Jordan at marketplace study company S&P World Platts. The last date was flat 2 years back, he says, so you can say they refuged he had appropriate period to believe on he. Switch to a cheap sulfur gas oil has its challenges since refineries will make a blend of various means, that may not mix so along on board sea vessels. Advantage, such new gas means are now more than costly rather than the top sulfur versions. So lot companies are choice to use scrubbers. A line of such announcements has surfaced in latter months, in several less firms, such as Greece-based celebrity Great Bulk Communication, decisive to furnish its entire navy in the devices. But Simon Bergolf of Dutch navigation gigantic Maersk, a personality confessed enormous sulfur botanist, explains how fit scrubbers is hard, costly job. It can price about $2 meter, $3 meter, pound per vessel. He's love installation thing the amount of a 40 FOOT, 12 meter, canister in a comparatively little region, explains Mr. Bergolf. Every vessel is a various draft, though sibling sea vessels are various. The business is installation scrubbers on fair a few of its sea vessels. And down there are critics of scrubbers, too much, since outdoor hinge varieties rotate the seized sulfur dioxide in a thin sulfuric acidity how is cleaned out in the ocean. This sulfur isn't creature remote of the environmental, he's fair creature redistributed, says Alan Gelder at Consulting Timber Mackenzie. The IMO says it has stringent rules on wherever sea vessels should category scrubber work off, and Maersk says it is manufacturing certainly it will be completely pliable in such rules. Future downward the link, sea vessels may go off of flaming embers of any type. The at first move to janitor navigation is receive above the 2020 obstacle, but down there's a lot more than job to be made following how to do the monster of industries less than injuring to the earth.